ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। Today's topic is called the best kept secret in the Ramayana. What the secret is what we're going to head towards. And as we are entering this particular chapter, chapter 38 of the Sundara Kanda, it's very essential to step back and consider what the Ramayana is all about. The Ramayana is, of course, the story or the Leela of Sri Rama and his associates and his consort. But there is a purpose for living entities like us to take Ramayana and live it. And so for us to live it, it's always important from time to time as we're reading a book to step back and get the context, the grander scene or the backdrop against which every character, every episode and every dialogue, every interaction that's there has meaning based on that backdrop. So we will set the mood for this chapter by looking at a certain verse. This verse is called it's an invocation verse for the Ramayana. And one of my god sisters sang this. Her name is Rasa Chitta, but she lives in Bangalore. And I was working on this verse recently, and she kindly put it to some music. This is the mood setting or the setting up of the verse. I had sent this verse in our WhatsApp group. You can refer it there. It's right here as well. What I'd like you to do is close your eyes and just hear the sound vibration. And we will go through the translation. So it sets the whole lets the verse enter our consciousness, our being. Maybe I'll read the translation first and then let the words, the Sanskrit words, enter into our being. So the verse goes that one who drinks day after day or every day with complete regard through the bowl of his raised ears, the flowing honey called Ramayana from the lotus mouth of Valmiki, that person leaves behind this endless material existence of repeated suffering by birth, disease, old age, calamity, and even death, and proceeds towards the eternal abode of Lord Vishnu. This is why we study Ramayana. This is the uh, gift we get, that we enter the abode of Lord Ramachandra. So here's the verse. I hope you can hear it. Oops.
यः कर्णाञ्जलिसम्पुटैरहरः सम्यक् पिबन्त्यादरात् वाल्मीकेर्वदनारविन्दगलितम् रामायणाख्यं मधुः जन्मव्याधिजराविपत्तिमरणैरत्यन्तसोपद्रवम् संसारः स विहाय गच्छति पुमान् विष्णोः पदं शाश्वतम्.
When Valmiki Rishi was providing a title for his work, he considered three titles, and all three are applicable. One, that it is Ramayana, the path or the journey of Lord Ramachandra. The other he considered was Paulastya Vadham, because it also, the whole purpose of Ramachandra's descent is to eliminate the earth of Ravana's atrocities and Ravana himself. And since Ravana is a descendant of Pulastya, it's called Paulastya Vadham. And the third is, this entire Ramayana is about Sita Devi's fantastic character and mood, which she is playing our role as what a jiva should dedicate one's life to. So he called it Sitayaha-Charitam Mahat, the great character or movement of Sita Devi. So by titling it Ramayana, he included in that Sitayaha-Charitam Mahat, because Ramasya Ayana iti Ramayana, the movement of Lord Ramachandra. But Ramasya Ayanam also, that the movement of Sita Devi is also titled as Ramayana, because her name is Rama. And we have seen in many verses, he refers to her as Rama, in the sense when he's talking about her, he uses the word Rama. Not Rama, but Rama. Actually, she's Rama, so anything about her is Rama. So we're at the 38th chapter that we're going to discuss today. And this 38th chapter is a highlight chapter. Sundara Kanda is the highlight Kanda of Ramayana. And in that 38th chapter stands like as a crown or a jewel on the crown of Sundara Kanda. Because it has one of the best kept secrets. Ramayana, then Sundara Kanda, and particularly this chapter, deals with Sharanagati Tattva, which is critical for every bhakti yogi. In fact, for every living being as a human being, to get to Vishnu Param Padam, one has to have this spirit of Sharanagati. Second, this chapter highlights the role of Sita Devi as the mediatrix or the one who intervenes on our behalf to Sri Ramachandra. Without her, we don't have access to Sri Ramachandra. She is the Hladini potency that connects the living entity to the Supreme Lord. It is the Guru Tattva that is empowered by the Hladini potency to make that possible. And third is we see Bhakti in its full bloom for both Sita Devi and Hanumanji. And we will hear words that actually stand out like that. And I will point to those verses and words as we go through. Okay. So with that, let's look at the very first verse. I brought these verses out today so that we can follow along because there's some important words in this. So the first verse starts this way that Hanumanji had offered Sita Devi to ride on his back to take her to where Ramachandra is, and she refuses, and she gives reasons. After hearing those reasons, Hanumanji is very strongly moved and is fascinated by the kind of bhakti she has for Ramachandra, the love she has, and that love reflects as affection for all the Rakshasis and other beings also in Lanka. Generally, one has the idea of love for God is between me and God, and others are chopped cabbage. But actual love for Godhead means love for all of the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord as well. So Valmiki tells us how Hanumanji is feeling after hearing Sita Devi's words. He says, Tatas tataha sa kapishardula tena vakyena toshitaha. Sitam uvacha tat shrutva vakyam vakya visharadaha. That whenever we read Ramayana, every verse that begins with a ta, we should already flag it as a very important verse. It is considered a mantra or such a significant verse because the entire Ramayana begins with ta and ends with ta. Just as the entire Gayatri mantra begins with ta, tat savitur, and ends with a ta. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. So verses that begin with ta are already very, very significant. So that's the way Valmiki Muni gets our attention. So he says, Tata sa, he, that Hanumanji, who is Kapishardul, the tiger among monkeys, Tena Vakyena, by the words she has spoken, Toshitaha, became happy, satisfied. And so he spoke back, Sitam Uvacha Tat Shrutva. After hearing what she said, he spoke back to her. And Hanuman spoke words in a way that shows that he is Vakya Visharada. He's the best of the speakers. In this verse, Valmiki refers to Hanumanji with two epithets. Kapishardula, the tiger among monkeys, and the second he calls him is Vakya Visharadaha. It's very skilled at speech. So we may consider the reasons behind such epithets. So in the previous chapter, when Hanumanji said to Sita Devi, "Ride on my back, and I can take you from here to there immediately right now." And when Sita Devi said, "You're such a tiny size, are you showing your simian mentality, just speaking like an ordinary monkey?" First he thought, "Oh, is she insulting me?" He showed his big size, massive, mountain-like size. Literally, he can become so big that he can just step from Lanka to where Lord Ramachandra is. He doesn't even have to jump or fly. But then he considered what she said. And he realized that she was not slighting him. She was not insulting him. But he indeed is Kapishardula, because his uh, own nature has not been diminished by the words of Sita Devi. And to know that that is the case, that he does not feel insulted by her words. In fact, he feels so moved by it. Valmiki refers to him as Kapishardula. Uh, Another reason is what she spoke are words of courage and confidence. Although she is shattered by the absence of the company of Ramachandra, she has been tormented by Ravana's constant harassment and Ravana's associates threatening her that they will eat her up raw, they will tear her apart, that her flesh will be so tasty. We heard that. Yet she remains very courageous. The courage is not that she can fight Ravana, the courage that I will not budge from my position of being surrendered to Lord Ramachandra. And in that courage is the confidence that Sri Ramachandra is the only one who can protect me and will protect me. So it takes a person of courage to recognize another person of courage. Otherwise, how would we know? So by calling him Kapishardula, we're being told that Hanumanji understands what Sita Devi is saying. She has full confidence in Ramachandra's ability to reclaim her from Ravana's clasp. And because he himself is Shardula and courageous and confident, he appreciates her words. And how does he appreciate? Toshita is fully satisfied. Tushti is something that doesn't come from abundance. It doesn't come from quantity. Tushti comes from quality. A person can have a lot of money, a lot of property, a lot of followers, a lot of uh, learning. But if they don't have satisfaction, that none of these things can satisfy. None of these things can meet or measure up to his need for satisfaction. But a person who cultivates and develops the very simple thing of satisfaction, and satisfaction always comes from a relationship, not from things. You find anywhere that one who has things is not necessarily satisfied, but one who has a relationship is satisfied easily. One who has a loving wife or a loving husband, loving friends, of course, one who ultimately feels a sense of loving connection with Sri Ramachandra, their lives, they generally feel satisfied. So things don't have to be the means for satisfaction. So Hanumanji, Toshita, The word comes from tushta, being satisfied. Now, so therefore, the words Kapi Shardula and Vakya Visharada. Now, he is the best of speakers. He has been trained by Surya Bhagavan. He has been trained, and he's such an expert minister for Sugriva that Lord Ramachandra, in the very first meeting, recognized, oh, he's the best of speakers. Because he's proficient in Rig Veda. He has thoroughly understood Yajurveda, and he can deliver through the very rigorous study of Samaveda. So what does Hanumanji say? Before we get into what Hanumanji said, we see that surrender, Sharanagati, requires two aspects, according to the Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, requires two aspects from us and two aspects from the Lord. So when all four are there, Sharanagati is complete. So today we're only going to talk about the two that are required from our side. The first is called akinchinatvam. Kinchit means little bit. Akinchit, not even a little bit. So akinchinatvam means that I don't rely on any other resources except the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra. And ananya gatitva means no other goal, no other objective, no other purpose than having a relationship with Sri Ramachandra. And these two are highlighted by Hanumanji because he has recognized that is what she is expressing. We are used to a definition of Sharanagati, which is also used by Vaishnavas across the Paramparas, that there are 6 limbs for Sharanagati. Anukulyasya Sankalpa, that one should conduct one's life in a way that they accept things that are favorable for Sharanagati or favorable for Bhakti. Pratikulyasya Varjanam, one should try to systematically decrease and give up things and activities that are unfavorable. Then Goptrutve. Goptrutve means accepting the leadership of the Supreme Lord. But the Supreme Lord directs one's life. He is the master. Fourth is Rakshishyati iti Vishwasaha. One should have this confidence that in all my situations, the Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra will protect me. There's a devotee who said that Chintan is our job. Chinta is his job. If we engage in Chintan, then we are assured that Ramachandra is taking care of the Chinta part. He worries for us. Generally, we worry for ourselves. What will happen if this? What about this? What about the money? What about the house? Whatever my son, my daughter, my this. Yes, we all have that. That's the malady every conditioned soul has, and every conditioned soul thinks I have the ability to make my situation better. Yes, we are meant to engage in activities, but Krishna is described to us karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. That phala, the reward of feeling protected doesn't come from our activities. It comes from his grace. And fifth is Atma Nikshepa. We use the word Atma Nivedana, that in our thoughts, speech, and actions, we use them to dedicate ourselves to the Supreme Lord. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur told us, Banasa, Deha, Geha, Jo Kichu Mora, Arpino Tuapade, Nanda Kishora. Manasa, whatever is in my mind itself. Deha, my body. Geha, my house. Ye Kichu Mora, Whatever I put a tag as mine, Arpino Tuvapade. I'm offering at your lotus feet. Oh, Nanda Kishora, the son of Maharaj Nanda. And finally, the sixth is Karpanyam or Dainya, humility. Particularly, Karpanya means helplessness. Arjuna says, right? Karpanya dosha pahata svabhava. I have the fault of being helpless in this condition. So whenever we feel helpless, that's when Krishna, Sri Ramachandra enters the picture. As long as we feel that I can help myself, he stays at the periphery. Same in the case of Draupadi. Same in the case of Gajendra. As long as they by those pastimes, they indicate as long as one's own efforts to control and make situation better exists, to that degree, the Lord stays at the periphery. So Hemangi and I have been talking about this for the past couple of days. What is one's efforts? What are the efforts required by a person? So the effort is not in modifying the situations or taking control of or taking charge of the situations. The effort is in taking our minds and our consciousness from the reflex action of fixing to consciously, deliberately moving it to the feet of the Supreme Lord and saying, please help me. That is our effort. Expressing helplessness is our effort. Evoking his divine grace is our effort. So Hanumanji, with that context, Hanumanji is now telling Sita Devi, Yukta Rupam Tvaya Devi Bhashitam Shubhadarshane Sadrusham Striya Swabhavasya Sadhvinam Vinayasya Cha. What I want all of us to notice are some of the adjectives or epithets used for Sita Devi. Because part of Sharanagati is when these six elements exist, then the Supreme Lord is almost compelled to deliver the soul. And the deliverance is always done by the Supreme Lord. And this is for the reason that Sita Devi did not go with Hanuman. Always the Supreme Lord is the one who delivers. So he says, oh, Queen Devi, Shubhadarshane, what you have spoken are very appropriate to you and to the characteristic of virtuous women. Although translation says virtuous woman, it is virtuous women, sadhvina. Among virtuous women, this is the kind of character you would find, and it befits you completely. So in verses 2 and 4, we will see, this is verse number 2. Let's look at the epithets for her. He says, Devi, and hold on to this word because you'll hear it again and again and again. Devi, Shubhadarshane, Sadhvinam or Sadhvi, and Vinaya, Vinayasya cha, that of your humility. So there are 4 epithets for Sita Devi in one verse. So you can sense how happy, joyful, and excited Hanumanji is just when Sita Devi manifested to him her sense of Sharanagati. So she's called Devi, goddess, because she is the divine goddess and she's showing Hanumanji, the one who is self-effulgent, Devi. Or another meaning is one who illuminates. The soul illuminates our consciousness. The soul is the one that is self-effulgent, where we say Sat, Chit and Ananda. Plus Devi, she is the personality who's showing Hanumanji what love for the Supreme Lord looks like. Then he calls her Shubhadarshane. Shubhadarshane means one who's very auspicious to look at. Anyone who gets the darshan of Sita Devi, their life is filled with auspiciousness. Because another name for her is Lakshmi. Or we refer to as Radha, one who teaches us what Aradhana to Krishna looks like. Another meaning is not that we see Lakshmi Devi and our life becomes auspicious, but more important, that is Shubha Darshane, that her glance upon us brings all sorts of auspiciousness in one's life. Therefore, she's always sitting in the chest, on the chest of, or on the chest of the Lord and glancing at everybody who comes and fills their life with auspiciousness. And therefore the Lord is referred to as Shri Nivasa. Shri Nivasa, one who has Shri residing in him. Sadhvi. Sadhvi in this context is chastity or being chaste. He calls her, you're the most chaste lady. And her chastity is not the reason Hanumanji is all Toshita or happy, is because her chastity is not conditional. It is constitutional. It is who she is. That's her nature. And that's our nature too. That we are very chaste in our purest form. We're very chaste to the Lord. In our conditioned nature, our chastity becomes distributed to wherever we think that there is sensual connection. It's called Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, that has been not Bahushakha, it has been distributed. We distribute our loyalty and chastity according to the situation of life. When I say we, I mean conditioned being. And so her chastity is something that can be tested again and again, and it will always be at its full and never recede or become limited. It never becomes eroded or it never gets faded away. Therefore, Sadhvi. And then he calls her Vinaya. Vinayascha or Vinayanvite. Along with or filled with humility. Her expression when she tells Hanumanji, I have love for Ramachandra, it is not from arrogance. Some people can profess, oh, I love Lord Krishna, I love Lord Ramachandra, I love this particular form of deity, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Their expression can be filled with arrogance or pride in it. But Hanumanji recognized that when she says, I love Ramachandra, it is full of humility. Because in those words are gratitude. It's filled with gratitude. And we will see that again. It's going to come back in verse 4. We'll talk about that humility in a moment. So he says, what you have spoken is very befitting. So what has she spoken? First he says, Stritvam natu samartham hi sagaram vyativartitum. Mamadhishtaya vistirnam shatayojanamayakam. It is not possible for a woman to sit on my back and cross this expansive ocean. Vistirnam sagaram shatayojanam na vyativartum. It is not possible to cross this vast expansive ocean of 100 yojanas by stritvam, by a woman. Now it's not about women, so women don't get upset. Here what stritvam refers to is that all of us conditioned living beings are an energy of the Supreme Lord. So our constitutional nature is feminine. We are Prakriti. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes it very clear. Aparameyam itastwanyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yedam dharyate jagat. There is another energy of mind called the jiva bhuta. So we are jiva, we are feminine. So a soul cannot cross on their own this massive expansion ocean of material existence. We don't have the capacity, which is true. So this verse number 3 talks about this is verse number 3. This talks about akinchanatvam. Remember the two requirements. So akinchanatvam means that she refused to cross the ocean on Hanumanji's back. And she gave all the reasons, which are very appropriate. And the last week I sent a quote of Srila Prabhupada, that talking about the monkey model, that when we hold on as a resource, there is a danger that if our grip loosens, we will fall. And she says that to Hanuman, if I fall into this ocean full of crocodiles and sharks and very predatory aquatics. So in the ocean of material existence, there are all these predatory aquatics like sharks called our own vyasanas. So when we rely on our own strength, we may fall down, as Prabhupada said. So he's appreciating her akinchanatvam, that she has no other resource. Only that time is it possible to evoke Ramachandra's grace. So this verse is about akinchanatvam. Next verse. He says, Dvitiyam karanam, the second reason that you spoke. Yat cha bravishi vinayanvite. And the second one that you spoke is full of humility. Ramad anyasya na arhami samsprasham iti. Janaki. Oh, Janaki. So here is the epithets. He said, Vinayanvite, full of humility, and Janaki. So we'll explain that too. The second reason you gave is that you will not touch anybody else other than Ramachandra. Or you will not be touched by anyone else. Ramad anyasya na arhami samsprusham iti. Janaki. The humility is, in this verse, it is ananya gatitva. That other than Sri Ramachandra, nobody else is my master, is my husband, is my Prabhu. The idea of demigod worship, that for beauty, this Devata, for knowledge, that Devi, for money, this Deva, for this distributed sense of loyalty is being discarded. And she says, Na Ramad Anyasya Na Arhami Samsprasham. I will not touch anyone other than Sri Ramachandra. And that is her humility, not arrogance. The humility is, I am not in a market where I can purchase someone else's goods. So how do I purchase the goods of the demigods? I perform a yajna. And they are compelled to give something to me. That's transaction. In a transaction, there is no humility. In a relation with the Supreme Lord, that I am here waiting patiently. Whenever you give me your grace and however you express it to me, I will receive it. But it's only you. In fact, even if you don't reciprocate, you are still my Lord. Mat pranas tu sa eva na aparaha. You may embrace me. You may make me broken-hearted. Mat prananatha tu sa eva na aparaha. That is exactly what Sita Devi is speaking. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed as the highest state of ecstatic love that is completely unconditional is what Sita Devi has said and Hanuman's verbalizing. So Vinayanvite, and then he calls her Janaki. My mother's name was Janaki. She is the daughter of Janaka. The reference to this word Janaki here, the Janaka is a title. And it's a title given to every successive king, starting from King Nimi all the way down to any king born in that lineage was called Janaka. Sita Devi's father's name actually is Siradhwaja, but he has this title Janaka. By Janaka, they got this title because all of them have this common characteristic that they have absolutely no sense of possessiveness about anything in this world. They're completely detached. And the story narrated is once Janaka was sitting and performing a yagya. And as part of a plan to show Janaka's greatness, that city, his entire kingdom, was set on fire. As soon as people heard and smelled the smoke, that there is fire, people from the yagya got up and started running towards their homes to save their belongings. Janaka just sat there. So he was asked, "You're the king, you're the greatest of riches, jewels, pearls, diamonds, palaces, horses, elephants, followers, property, the entire kingdom is burning. Are you not going to go save something?" And he said, "None of it is mine. So what is the point here? It's not mine." And that showcased his greatness, that to everyone, that he has absolutely no sense of this is mine, this aham mama iti that we say is the greatest problem of a living being. He's free of it. That same Janaka at the marriage of Sita and Ramachandra says to Ramachandra, "Iyam Sita mama suta." She is my daughter. His only possessiveness is for Sita Devi. Or another way is that she has my qualities. That she has absolutely no sense of possessiveness. She doesn't demand from the Lord, "You should only act this way, you should not act that way." No demanding. So he calls her Janaka, Janaki. So her character is supremely devotional, yet very regal. And therefore he says, "Etat te sadrusham devi patnyas tasya mahatmanaha." You are therefore the befitting queen of that Mahatma called Sri Ramachandra. And therefore he calls her Devi one more time. Etat te sadrusham devi. Ka hi anyaha tvamrite devi bruyat vachanam idrusham. In one verse, twice he refers to her again as Devi. First line calls her Devi. Oh, that you are the befitting wife for that great personality, Sri Ramachandra. And the second line he calls her Devi because there cannot be, who else can speak such words? Ka, he, anyaha, who else can speak Tvam Rite? Rite means the truth, what you've spoken. Very, very apt. Like even Arjuna says to Krishna, Ritam Manye, whatever you've spoken, I accept as truth, as appropriate, as the perfect speech. Tvam Rite Devi Bruyat Vachanam Idrisham. Such words, who else can speak other than you? And therefore you are Devi. So Ananya Akinchanatvam and Ananya Gatitvam are both referred to. What time is it? 9:15. All right. Let's see if there are any questions or comments. I thought I'll get up to verse number 10, but the best kept secret shall remain a secret uh, yet today. Sorry for the abrupt pause because I realized I don't think I can go further. Any questions, thoughts, comments, reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Soumya.
It's very beautiful class. Um, I like the how you expressed the relationship between Janaka Maharaj.
I can tell you're moved by it. That is the greatness of Sita Devi as expressed by Hanumanji. So you get a sense of what Toshita, what he may feel in this heart. We may get a glimpse, very tiny spark maybe. I mean, I can't call yours a tiny spark, but something. But what he's... Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anyone else? These words churn, no? They churn the heart so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Dhira Lalita Prabhu, go ahead.
Fantastic class, Prabhuji. There are many good points which I was able to note it down. I like the Chintan versus Chinta part. Satisfaction comes from a relationship and not the things, and the Sharanagati aspect. Helplessness comes when we express our to the Lordship. But one point is like one technical detail, Prabhu. The 100 yojana, maybe you might have covered in previous classes, I don't know. So 100 yojana, if we talk like 800 miles, but currently India, the Sri Lanka is not that much far. So how do we answer that question, this question, Prabhu?
Shamakund Prabhu, I think, has a good answer. But there is some debate on it. There is one particular devotee who believes it's not the Sri Lanka, it is further down somewhere in the Indian Ocean. That's about 100 miles, 800 miles away. Some people say from the time of Ramayana to now, land masses move, ocean surfaces have changed, land masses have moved. But most Vaishnavas accept that Lanka as the Lanka that Sita Devi was. The Ramayana is what? 2 million years old.
Yeah. Prabhu, the point is Sharanagati. There are 2 points mentioned.
Before we get to the Sharanagati point, Shamakund, do you want to chime in on this one?
You covered it, Prabhu. This viewpoint that you said is that probably that Maldives or so is the actual Lanka, was shown by astrological calculations by Shamsundar Prabhu, disciple of Srila
Yes.
Prabhupada. And the debate is still on. That's it, Prabhu.
Okay, Dhira Lalita Prabhu.
Got it, Prabhu.
Next.
Yeah. The Sharanagati Akinchitvam and Ananya Gatitvam. So how Ananya Gatitvam is translated to humility, I am not able to understand that, because I think it's more about the first point which talks about don't rely on anything else other than the Lord.
No, the Ananya Gatitvam, Ananya Gatitva and humility was Hanumanji is telling her that you spoke Vinaya Anvite. A person can be arrogant about their relationship with the Lord. She is not. She's not arrogant about it. She's humble about it.
Okay.
In that sense, not Sharanagati particularly, but she speaks to Hanumanji not out of arrogance, but out of humility. That not you, only Ramachandra. I am only surrendered, not like that. So he recognizes and he says, Vinayan Vite, Sadrisham Ka. Who else can speak like you with so much humility? Like to say, oh, Sri Ramachandra or Sri Krishna is my only shelter, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is my only shelter, is different from I don't care for any demigod, only Sri Ramachandra is. There's arrogance in it.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Thank you so much.
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, go ahead.
Prabhu, I really appreciate the point that really moved me, that the survivorship of the Hanuman, when Sita Devi mentioned that only Lord can help, even though he showed his biggest image. I really see that survivorship mood of Hanumanji there. At the same time, he overcome that, and then he's seeing the love of Sita. Normally, like, in my condition, like, I just, the pride comes in, and then, like, you insulted me, that is the mood that, like, a person like me will have. But Hanumanji expressed his survivorship properly here, and on top of it, like, he sees the loving mood of Sita Devi, which I really like, Prabhu.
Thank you. Akhiladhara, Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my beloved senses or Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for wonderful class. Prabhuji, like, as you mentioned, like, a soul cannot cross beyond the material existence on its own, and the problems are like shark, like vyasanas and all. So if we see, so the challenges are more internal than external. So how one, so my question is, to overcome the internal challenges, in what consciousness a sadhaka should seek the external support, and what readiness one must develop to overcome those challenges?
When internal movements happen, then external movements happen. Just taking within the material world, in the universe, as one performs punya activities, punya comes from the tendency that I want to do something good, I want to help someone. That internal movement results in external movement. One goes higher in the universe. Similarly, the internal movement that I want to express my words, thoughts, and actions as a service to Sri Ramachandra, that internal movement then makes the external movement of actually going to the supreme abode of Saket, Puri, or Ayodhya Dham. On that journey, the journey is a where we rely on external things should taper down to relying exclusively on the Lord. That internal, that I'm relying on the Lord, is something it's not in my grasp to put words to it. I don't know what that means yet. I'm just speaking the philosophy of it. But that's that whatever is the outcome, that the Supreme Lord will take care of me. I'm assured of his care, even if I don't see certain resources that I can measure myself. So there is the whole Christian idea that if you do good, you get worldly resources. But it's not necessarily that that's the measurement of it. What is important is not things, but my relationship. So what's the measurement? What do we rely on? We rely on always the relationship. So why are the devotees important to us? Because they remind us of the importance of the relationship with the Lord. That's where my mind and heart should go to. What's my relationship like? When I'm in distress, my conditioned nature reflexes to fix. And I'm in the association of devotees so that I build that reflex that my mind goes to my relationship. I call out the holy name. I take access of, I take hold of the Shabda Brahman, the scripture. I take association of service of my mind, words, and thoughts are moving in that relationship. That's what one needs to do. The effort is directed towards the relationship. But we find, wherever we might be, we find that at some point it gets tested or it reaches a limit. After that limit, we say, oh, no response yet, I need to fix it. And to learn to curb that is part of the daily devotional activity. So we heard the reason we heard that verse in the beginning. Did you hear that verse? Were you there when I played it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yaha Karnanjali Samputer Aharaha. Aharaha means every day. Samyak Pibanti Adarat. Valmikir Vadanaravinda Galitam Ramayanakyam Madhu. That honey, every day we take a dose through the ears, to the bowl of the ears. For such a person, samsara is not an outcome. Otherwise, samsara, the stuff gets repeated again and again and again. I don't know if I answered your question.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. It was very helpful. Thank you. I like the part like we have to regularly hear like and devotee association aspect which you brought up is the essence. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
We recite Srimad Bhagavatam also the same way, right? The way every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Nityam means every day.
Ji, Prabhuji.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day we serve the devotees, the Bhagavatas. Every day we serve the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this every day we serve the Ramayana. Chaitanya Charitamrita. Oh, so many books. Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the works of the Acharyas. I mean, our bookshelves are filled. But engaging in it is their shortcoming. Okay, anything else? Okay, looks like we've... All right. So we will delve into the best kept secret next week. And I will share with you a few verses in the coming weeks that are not in Ramayana, but are related in different ways to the topic that we will be talking about. Until then, may Sita Devi's Akinchanatvam and Ananya Gatitvam, that is recognized by Sri Hanumanji and spoken about. And thankfully, we're very grateful to Valmiki for writing it down. We're very grateful to all the acharyas for thousands and thousands and thousands of years who have preserved it. We're grateful to our own spiritual masters who inspire us and encourage us to take a step forward and bathe in this beautiful river called Ramayana, such that our life becomes pure, sacred, holy, and full of divine joy and love. I'll end with this verse. Valmikir Giri Sambhuta Ramasagar Agamini Punati Bhuvanam Punyah Ramayana Mahanadi. This Ramayana Mahanadi, this great river called Ramayana, is born from the mountain called Valmiki. and is rushing towards the ocean called Sri Rama, Rama Sagara Gamini. And as she is rushing towards the ocean, she purifies all the land that she touches, Punati Bhuvanam Punyam, and makes it auspicious and sacred. So we're all beneficiaries of this great river called Ramayana. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha.